In this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor Kay Walker, Miss Erica Lanier, and Mr. Preston Stewart. And Mr. Stewart, let us continue our conversation with you by having you to give us some information in reference to the issue of discipline in the school setting, because I think that many of us recognize that there's quite a problem in terms of discipline in the system. And so let's talk about it from that perspective.
That's another area in which I'm very passionate about, is the fact that students are presenting certain types of behavior that they have to be disciplined and they have to be suspended from school. They put in school suspension. My concept is, and my theory is, that the average child who has been suspended from school or punished in any kind of way will have the attitude that I did the crime, I did the time, but your punishment didn't change my mind. So in some way, the school system has to convince that child that he is tomorrow's America and that the discipline problems he presents in school is standing in his way of his economics in terms of him being able to support himself in a way that's fruitful for him. All the children have a dream, and I think the first step is that each child in school should be helped and convinced in what his goal is. He should decide whether he's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, even a mechanic, and have a goal in school. And when he acts up in school, let him know he's threatening the economics of his survival to the standpoint that, and once you convince a child of that he's, and show him that it's up, that it's his profit. It profits him to behave a certain way in school to his advantage, to have a certain attitude. And let him know that his attitude determines his altitude. And that you do certain things in the school that's uplifting, that's motivating, and inspiring.
Mr. Lanier, when you think about the metropolitan school system and you think in terms of being a female, let's look at it from a female's perspective. What are some of the issues in the system within the framework of what we're talking about today? What are some of the issues in the system that young females are concerned about or should be concerned about? How does that work?
I think a big factor, and especially since the Metropolitan Nashville Public School Board, as recently as this year, has updated policies on zero tolerance. And with the recent announcement that they're going to open up Twitter and these other elements, no one is looking at social media and how detrimental it is to all of our youth, but especially our young ladies. Bullying is totally different than when we were in school and they pulled our pigtails or, or pushed us or maybe tripped us. There are some very nasty things that are communicated about these young ladies and to these young ladies. And sadly, you know, we're hearing, you know, more, you know, attempts of suicide, and also, young ladies are not realizing that things that they may do at social media today, just as if you robbed a bank, will follow you in essence in the future. I have a friend who deals with student aid, and she said that one of the first things they do before they decide whether or not they're going to give a student any type of financial aid is they go out on social media to see what type of student this is. So you could be a straight A student, never got in trouble, but because of one single misjudgment on social media, you know, be passed over for financial aid, for a job, or numerous other things.
You know, Pastor, I think that that's one of the things that we rarely think about in terms of how detrimental some of this can be to our young people. And
Absolutely. You know, Dr. Haney, here's what we want to really have the Metropolitan Nashville Public School system feel. We want them to feel the presence of the Educational Committee of the NAACP as well as the full backing of the NAACP when it comes to and relates to our children's education. We have an expectation, Dr. Haney, that if a person is in the school system as an educator, we have an expectation that when the parents send that child into that school system, that their child is being educated, that their child is being treated right, their child is being treated fairly, and being treated with a level of professionalism. We have an expectation that the principals in the system, when it comes to this zero tolerance thing, that they exercise more flexibility than they're exercising instead of just booting the children out of the school system as a whole, you know, in terms of, and rather than trying to find a way to teach them. Well, Mr. Stewart talks very well about this character education. So if we got zero tolerance and you got the possibility, the potential of character education, which is active in some school systems, I think in Texas, Houston and stuff like that, but why not here in Metro? These are things that we want to see implemented within the Metro Nashville Public School system, because we want to be able to find a way to properly educate our children, and we want them to be educated by trained professionals who's going to act in a professional manner. It's not going to be disrespectful toward our children and the like, because if those things are happening, rest assured that the NAACP, we're looking, we're watching, we're going to be at your meetings, we're going to be in your face, we're going to be where we need to be so that we can guarantee that a child, a mother who sends her child, a father who sends his child to the school system, that they can have a reasonable assurance that when they go off to work and when they retrieve their child in the evening, their child has been exposed to an environment that cares, concern, and is properly educating that child. And we're not settling for anything less than that. This is what we expect, this is what we're moving toward, and this is what we're going to accomplish in this situation.
Very good. Mr. Stewart, we've got 3 minutes. Let's start off simply by summarizing some of the things that you would like to see done in reference to what we're talking about, and then allow Ms. Lanier to continue on, and then we'll wrap it up for the day.
We also hear a lot of comments about when young people come to the school environment, that a lot of the behavior stems from parenting. And there's an implication in terms of imposing the idea that parents need to have parenting sessions and so forth and so on like that. I would venture to say that any parent, you couldn't convince them they're not a good parent, no matter what kind of parenting they are and what kind of parenting style they have. But to involve the parent in doing some things that would be conducive to helping that child have behavior in school that is allows him to matriculate in a positive way. In other words, have his dinner ready when he's home. Be able to provide a quiet place for him to study, and encourage your child, uplift your child, inspire your child, and motivate your child to feel that that education is very important in his life. In other words, when you do that, then you're going to realize some gains in your investment as your child.
Mr. Lanier, what do you think about that in terms of what can be done?
I think that, of course, all of us need to be constructive in our input in terms of children, But I think also it's important that as taxpayers and voters, that we voice and hold accountable the administration that is duly responsible for educating all of our children.
Especially as voters, and I think that all of us would agree that there is a political element within the school system in a real sense, Common Core and et cetera, and et cetera. And I would imagine that each of you would encourage more people to participate and find out exactly what's going on in reference to Common Core, and to try to do our best in terms of making it viable in a real sense for the children that, not only African Americans, but the children that are served by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. 10 seconds, over the last 10 seconds, we've got 10 seconds. Mr. Stewart, give us a statement in 10 seconds. Ms. Lanier will also do the same thing. He will do the same, and I'm going to wrap it up for today.
We've got to convince our young people that they are tomorrow's America, and that they must be serious about their education, and that they must try to make their endeavors to do the best they can to the highest of their ability.
Ms. Lanier?
It takes $9,200 a year to educate a child. It takes $23,000 to house an inmate. We need to focus on being success stories, not statistics.
Very good. And so cost effectiveness has a very important part in this. And of course, let me thank the three of you for coming by and giving us that excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning. Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is Peace Ambassadors USA. And we have to talk about Peace Ambassadors USA. Mr. Arafat, Mr. Arafat, who is the Executive Director of Peace Ambassadors USA, as well as the founder of that organization. Mr. YSArafat. And of course, Mr. Arafat, let me welcome you to the show this morning and to tell you how delighted we are to have you with us and to talk about what I consider to be a very, very important topic, and that is peace.
Absolutely.
And I think that you've got a program that you call Peace Ambassadors USA that you'd like to talk to us about this morning. But before we get into that, Mr. Arafat, let's see if we could get from you some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and then we'll, by the end of this segment, we'll have an opportunity to talk about the organization itself, Peace Ambassadors USA.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and the pleasure is all mine. My name is Yasser Saleh Arafat. I was born in Yemen originally. I came as a teenager to Brooklyn Heights, New York. And in '95, I came to Nashville, Tennessee, and it's been home since. I worked at the Metropolitan Public Schools as an ESL parent liaison for a few years. And then I became the Director of Education and board member of the Islamic Center of Nashville, the one on 12th Avenue, until 2010. We established another Islamic Center called the Islamic Center of Tennessee, and I was one of the main founders and vice president. And then 2012, we started the initiation and the beginning of the establishment of Peace Ambassadors USA. I have my educational backgrounds. I have an undergraduate degree from Middle Tennessee State University in political science, actually pre-law. And I have a master in Islamic studies, and planning to start my doctorate in Vanderbilt for political science, and also JD, because I have a pre. And basically, that is kind of what I do. It's I go and give lectures in colleges, universities, using my background in Middle East, or whether in the United States, in religion and politics. We use the degree in politics basically to talk about politics in the Middle East, and we use the degree of Islamic studies to talk about interfaith dialogues and programs, trying to reach out. We go to churches, we go to colleges, we go to schools, we invite people and churches to our mosques, and that's basically with the background of education. My plan is to finish the doctorate and again use it in the same way